This is a quick video to talk about solving systems of equations using graphing. Okay, remember we talked yesterday that a system of equation is two or more linear equations that share the same variables, and that the solution to a system is the xy pair where the two lines of the graphs of the equations intersect. So to solve a system by graphing, the very first thing is you have to graph both equations. But sometimes you're going to have to rewrite the equations to put them in slope-intercept form. Then you're going to estimate the point where the two lines intersect on your graph, and then you're going to check your solution by putting that point back into your equations. So let's do an example. I would like you to solve this system of linear equations by graphing. 3y minus 2x equals 21 and y plus 3x equals negative 4. Well, if you remember from the last slide, the very first thing I have to do is put each equation in slope-intercept form, which means solve the equation for y. So let's take our first equation and solve it for y. The first thing I'm going to do is get rid of my x term by adding 2x to both sides. That gives me 3y equals 2x plus 21. Now I cannot add 2x and 21 because one has an x and one does not. And then the second thing I have to do is get rid of my 3. And I'm going to do the inverse operation of multiplication, and I'm going to divide by 3. Now, I have to divide everything on the right side by 3. So that gives me an equation that is y equals 2/3 x plus 7. Now, from that, I can identify my y-intercept, which is always going to be this number out here. So my y-intercept is, and let's put it as an ordered pair, 0, 7, and that's a point on my graph. And my slope of this equation is 2/3. And I'm going to give myself some driving directions. The 2 is positive, so that says go up. 3 is positive, so that says go right. So I'm going to go over to my graph, and on my graph, I'm going to put a nice big fat point on the y-axis at 7, because that's my starting point. That's my y-intercept. And then I'm going to go up 2 and to the right 3. Now, my graph is kind of running out, so I can also go down 2 and to the left 3 and do as many of those points as I need to make a nice line. Now, when you're making your line, make sure that you make your line go all the way off of your graph, because you don't really know when it's going to intersect. Now let's take our second equation. So that we got done with the first one. Let's take our second equation and rewrite it. Okay, so we're going to draw our line. Make sure you take it all the way off of the graph. And now we're going to rewrite our second equation and solve it for y. And again, the very first thing I do is get rid of my x term. So I'm taking the 3x and subtracting it from both sides. And that gives me y equals negative 3x minus 4. And I'm finished because my y is by itself. So my y-intercept is the negative 4. And my slope is negative 3. And I'm going to change that into a fraction by putting it over 1. My negative says go down. My positive says go to the right. So I'm going to go over here and put a nice big fat point at negative 4. And then I'm going to go down 3 to the right 1. And I'm going to put as many of those points as I need to. Well, maybe I am here if I can do this. As I need to make a really good line. And again, I can't go down any further, so I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, and to the left 1. Oops, I mean up 1, 2, 3 to the left 1. There we go. If I can do this right. And up 1, 2, 3 to the left 1. 1, 2, 3 to the left 1, and then I'm going to draw that line. All right, I think it looks pretty clear that these two lines intersect. My cat's talking to you if you can hear her. At this point right here, and that would be -3, 5. All right, but we just need to make sure that that is the correct point. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to check and make sure that -3, 5 is a solution to both of these equations. By putting in for y 5, I'm using my first equation, and for x -3, and solving that. And sure enough, that gives me a valid solution. So yes, that is a solution to that equation. Now, let's put it into our second equation. I'm going to put 5 in for y plus 3 times -3 for x equals -4, and solve that equation. And again, I get a valid solution. So yes, the point -3, 5 is my solution to this system of equations. Okay, so what you're going to do now is you're going to graph systems of equations and identify the ordered pair that is the solution. Then you're going to mark it off on your sheet and solve the riddle to the puzzle.